welcome to Rattlepike. So here we are, and today is the 13th of June, and this marks our 1 year on Rattlepike. Now, you can see that we've been busy, and the garden is starting to come on absolute treat. So here, right in front of us, we've got you can see the marigolds, and we've got lettuce and broccoli. We've got cabbage. We've got all kinds of things going on. There's a nice little lettuce coming over the back. But if you'd like to come and have a look this way, you can see that we've got all kinds going on here. We can see that our beans are coming up really beautifully. We keep wrapping them up, but they've taken to the trellis that we've set up. And then look at the lettuce in front of it. That's absolutely beautiful. We've actually been harvesting some of this, and we've been keeping on top of the weeds. We keep finding them. So every time we do it, again, this is going back to what we were saying right at the beginning. We chop and we drop, right? So this is all going back into the soil. And we're not worried about the weeds. They're not going to hurt us one bit. So in between here as well, we've got all kinds of things going on. We've actually got some carrots coming through here. You can see these at the bottom. Look at these. These are going to be beautiful. We've got a row of them right through the middle. And one of the things that we did mention right at the beginning of the series, if you want to go and look back at what we were talking about in our early episodes, we were talking about intercropping. Yeah? So helping the plants help themselves. And several of the things that we've done, obviously, is to plant the lettuce and the carrots and the beans amongst each other, so that they're doing a multitude of things. The beans set nitrogen into the soil, and the carrots need that. They're going to absolutely love that. And the lettuce is going to take up all that nutrient as well. And of course, almost everybody should know this, with the marigolds around the front, that's our natural bug protection, right? So once the marigolds start flowering and producing their flowers, they're going to draw all the insects to them, so they're almost sacrificial. Yeah, so we're not bothered if they get eaten by the bugs, because they're leaving the rest of the plants alone. Yeah, it's kind of confusion for the bugs, because they're so interested in the smell of the marigolds, they're going to leave everything else alone. Right, so here we are on the second bed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically talk through the beds as we're going along. So I've just explained a little bit about what's happening in the first bed, and basically this originally is our lettuce and onion bed. So we've got all sorts of different onions going on here, and you can see the pak choy, these with the nice yellow flowers. Now, unfortunately, what's happened is we've had a lot of rain and we've had a lot of warm weather, and so these have bolted. They've actually just gone crazy and just sent up and started flowering. Now, again, with the chop and drop system that we've been talking about, this isn't a big problem for us. It's more about the onions and the rest of the plants that are in the bed. These will provide fertilizer later on in the season, right? So we'll chop them down and we'll drop them in eventually once they've set. And what will happen as well, of course, is that they're likely to set their own seeds, so we could be looking at pak choy seed coming up again next year. One of the other things that we're always looking for is ways of getting the bees into our garden, because we want pollination. Of course we want pollination, and we're feeding the bees at the same time, so that's very, very important for us. So as you can see, there's all sorts of things. So at this end we've got cauliflower, little cauliflower just down here. Can you see that little cauliflower? And of course the broccoli. This is coming on really lovely. So we've got a variety of broccoli and cauliflower that's going on. We've got more coming along this side as well. And as you can see, there's one or two weeds in here that we're going to have to sort out. The bindweed, columbine. This stuff can be a bit of a pain, to say the least. And so what we're going to have to do here, we're just, as we're going along, we'll just get these out. Because they will strangle. This is literally 2 days, and these have gone absolutely mental. So we just pull a few of these out, get this sorted. Here we go. Just whip some of these out. I'll sling that down on the path. Ooh, yes. See another one here? So this is one of the things you've always got to keep an eye out. Just gentle little bit of weeding, not too much. It's not excessive. And of course, if you keep on top of it, it never becomes an issue. We'll keep going on that. Yeah? And then, if we'd like to move on to the next bed, I'll show you what's going on there. Now, in this bed here, we've got chard, which you can see these lovely red shoots in the middle. Yeah? All the way down the middle, and cabbage and Brussels in this bed. Now, unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, but actually what's happened is these plants have done too well for us in one respect. So they went like Billy-o, and if you look, we've actually got 2 or 3 plants in this one spot. Now, unfortunately, if you leave the plants like this, what tends to happen is that they don't produce a very strong head. They're too close to each other. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to split these, separate the plants, and spread them out. So we might end up needing another bed for these because we've got so many of them. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but we've just been really lucky that they've gone as well as they have. We weren't anticipating this. So what we'll be looking at over the next day or two, I'll get out and I'll separate these out. And we might even put them in, we've got a fair few big pots that we could use, and we can maybe put those in if we start running out of space. Speaking of space, we're looking at a small area behind the polytunnel that we've got, and a little small space across the back that we've still got to fill. So no hardship just yet, although soon we might be looking at trying to find some more room. So this is looking really nice. Now, if you'd like to come over, you can see that these beds here, so we've got more cabbage going on in here as well. And you've noticed the marigolds around the outside and the lettuce that's running through the middle. Now this lettuce is looking a little bit bedraggled. I don't know what's going on with that. Could be that we're getting something getting in. But I must admit, the chickens do keep getting in here. The thieving little devils keep coming in and ravaging the plants. So it could just as easily be the chickens. The nasty little buggers. Well, I can't call them too much because they're still providing those lovely eggs. Now, if you'd like to... So, pretty much the same thing happening in this bed as well. So we've got 2 very similar beds going on here. In this one, you can see the frame. Now, we've got our runner beans in the center here. We built this frame, but the frame is only a temporary little jobby because we're hoping that our sweet corn, now you can see these, look at these lovely sweet corn, absolutely beautiful. They're coming on a treat, and we've got a row across the back, straight down the middle, and down this side as well. And of course, our marigolds on the outside, our bug suppression and protection. And once these start going up, Yeah, once these start shooting up, we'll let the beans actually grow up the sweet corn. So that is going to be our three sisters, basically. The peas will actually provide nitrogen or fix nitrogen into the soil that the corn wants. And the corn, of course, once that gets up, will support the peas. Yeah? So we've got three sisters going on here. So we've got the support with the corn, we've got the nitrogen fixation with the peas, we've got the support, and then we've also got, with the courgettes, we've got the ground cover to help suppress the weeds. And then, of course, as I've said before, we put the marigolds in to help stop the bugs getting in, the nasty bugs that we don't want. So I think that's looking pretty good there. Yeah? Right, so the next thing we're going to do is go and have a look. Well, on our way, if we have a look at the polytunnel from the outside, you can see that we've had a glut of tomatoes. We have tomatoes coming out of our ears. So as we've been going along, we've been potting them in. And you can see all the tomatoes. So what I want to do is I want to take you into the polytunnel and show you how this is coming along. Oh, but before we do that, let's just have a quick look here. So I was talking about the tomatoes. So these are tomatoes that we've literally just potted out again today. So these were in small seed trays, and there was just there's too many. So we've been hauling down to the woods, getting loads of soil out of the woods, and potting these on. And some of these are looking absolutely lovely, aren't they? Look at this one. Yeah. She's a right beauty. And then, of course, we've got lettuce that you can see here, and these are beans that are coming up at the back. They're looking absolutely gorgeous here. Look at the variety of lettuce and tomatoes that we've got going on in here as well. Now again, I keep mentioning this, but plastic and polystyrene and stuff like that, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Unfortunately, there was a lot on the farm when we moved in, and we're slowly trying to get rid of it. But you see this white speckling at the back? These are microplastics that are getting into the soil, and we've got to try and do our damnedest to get rid of this plastic out of the garden any way we can. But anyway, that's enough of that for the moment. Now we'll head to the polytunnel and see how that's getting on. Yeah? Here we go into the polytunnel. Now before we step inside, I just want to mention to you about the potatoes that we've been working on. So as you can see, we started these off in the sacks, and they're absolutely up to the brim. The sacks are full now. We've got about 5 of these going on. We've got a few around the back as well. But these are coming on really beautifully. I can see that the leaves are being eaten a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that, because if the bugs are eating these, they're leaving everything else alone, which is not such a bad thing. Now, if you'd like to have a look here, we've got some chilies on the go. Now, if you look at the bottom, well, if you look at these first of all, look at these chilies, they're absolutely lovely, yeah? Now, we planted some ourselves. Some of these we bought in because I've got to say that Oliver does a lot of cooking, and he's red hot with his chilies. In fact, we had a couple of these yesterday in the meal, and they're absolutely gorgeous. But as I was saying, the ones that we're doing, they're not doing as well as I'd like them to. Although we've had the warmth, they're just not as successful. So we bought some in just to keep ourselves in stock. Now, can you see in here? Right, we've got all kinds of things going on. Now look at these tomatoes in here. This is coming on an absolute treat. We've even got flowers on this one already. So I'm looking forward to tomatoes off this. This is going to be green. Absolutely beautiful. Now, we've got some Sweet Williams, of course. Again, once this comes into flower, that's going to help with the bees. We want to attract the bees in here to help us with that pollination that we really, really need. You know, because without pollination, we don't get any fruit, we don't get any veg, we get nada. Yeah? So here we go. Get the flowers in. Again, another tomato. And then we've got all kinds of lettuce going on in the bottom. Look at this weed suppression. It's keeping everything down beautifully. And then we've got in the center bed, so you can see the big tomatoes on the outside. Where are they? Yeah, look at them. Right. So we need to sort those out. And then we've got courgettes in the middle, and of course we've got spring onions and normal onions. So we've got a variety of onions going through the middle here. These are looking nice. Really pleased. Now, if you look across the other side of the polytunnel, you can see that we've got some lettuce. Again, the same thing that I was saying about the pak choi outside. These have bolted. Again, because it's been so wet and so warm that they've gone absolutely crazy. Now, the only problem with it, now that they've gone into flower, they're going to be a bit bitter. So the leaves are going to be a little bit, they're not going to be the best to eat. But it does, of course, mean that once these have all flowered, they're going to set seeds, and then we'll collect these seeds, and we've got a lettuce crop ready for next year. So we're going to leave them as they are, let them set seed, and then we'll use all of these. Once we've got the seeds off them, we'll chop all these down, and we'll bang them straight back into the bed and turn it over and just keep adding to our chop and drop. And of course, while they're going like this, they're actually adding support, and we can use these with the tomatoes if they need a bit of extra support. So there we go. So here we go with my girls. So these are a recent addition to the farm. So the girls are looking quite happy, aren't you girls? What are you saying? Now, while we're stood here, you can see this big blue container. This is our nettle tea. Now, I did mention this in a previous episode, and this, I've got to move back from it a bit. I've just disturbed it, and it really, really hums. It smells awful. But if Oliver's prepared to stick his spot in there and have a look, it's actually full of nettles and water, right? Our nettle tea. Oh my word, yeah, that is radiant. Now this is really, really good, strong fertilizer. It's absolutely great for your tomatoes. It will green up the leaves like nobody's business. Now, as I understand, it's not that good for the fruit, for the tomatoes themselves, you know, because they need magnesium and phosphate, so the base minerals to help the fruit develop. But these will fix nitrogen, and as a general fertilizer, I wouldn't use it neat though, not as it comes out of there. So basically, I'm tasting it now. It's pretty awful. And actually, a few councils used to ban this from allotments because of the smell. Yeah, but it is powerful stuff. You have to dilute it. So if you take a liter of that, you want to dilute that probably 2 or 3 times. So for 1 liter of this, I'd add 3 liters of water. Thin it down a bit. Oh, that is absolutely minging. Now, we've got our pumpkins ready for October. Now, we've got 3 different varieties going on in here. So we've got the main, these are standard pumpkins, these here. Now we've got Jack Littles, you know, the little small variety of pumpkins that you've seen around. You won't get very many pies out of them, but not many people in this country have pumpkin pie. Although hopefully I'm looking forward to a bit of that this year. I'll miss that. And then, of course, we've got now these. So the Crown Prince, they produce a small pumpkin about yay big, but it's a silvery grey colour, and they look really cool. They look really cool. It's one of those things that add a little bit of extra colour to that Halloween night that we've got to look forward to. So, as you can see, these are in pots at the moment. And once they get a little bit more established, we'll be planting these out in the bed behind the polytunnel. Yeah. So basically, what we've got here is so we've got more lettuce going on, because really we should be looking at planting the lettuce every 2 or 3 weeks now. We want to start harvesting the ones that are out, ready for harvesting, and then banging more plants back in so that we've got another crop. And hopefully we can keep these going right through August and maybe into September. Now, on the side here, we've also got, if I can see, yeah, Rocket. Now, we've got Rocket. We've also got some sweet corn going on in the middle. Now, although we've seen the sweet corn that are planted outside, we didn't really get very many results from that. So, and we are pushing it because it's mid-June now, right? So, hopefully these will come up, and we might just get them in, and we might get these cropped by September if we're lucky. So fingers crossed on that. And of course at the back we've got some more spring onions and yeah, so we've got more spring onions going on at the back as well. Over here we've got a few more tomatoes. These are tumbling tomatoes. Now, for hanging baskets, so these are really good. We'll get, once these start going, we'll get some baskets, and we'll get these out in the yard, yeah, near the house, probably outside the back door, and we'll have tomatoes on hand. We won't have to come all the way to the garden to pick them out. And then, of course, our last little bit, yeah, we got a bit of basil going on in here. Oh, yeah, you can actually smell it. Yeah. Now, as you can see, it's looking a little bit depleted in here, but I've already talked about the 1 or 2 plants that are in here. And then, now, we've got an awful lot of plants that we've got to deal with in the yard. So we're not going to be worried about too many other crops at the moment, other than our lettuce and our fast-growing crops that we can keep going. So we'll be looking at producing more lettuce, yeah, and then later in the year, of course, we'll be looking at, towards the end of September, we'll be looking at leeks and onions and the plants that we can overwinter out and let them grow. But for now, we're pretty much there. And so now all we've got to do is let all of this stuff go, keep on top of the weeds, and see how it's planting, see how it's growing, yeah? If you would love to like and subscribe to our, and anything else, any emojis or whatever you will, and put comments in, right? We really look forward to listening to your comments, and please tell me about all the mistakes that I've made, because I guarantee you, if you look hard enough at our videos, you'll find hundreds. So thank you very much.